Hi, and welcome to my video on review number 1 on polynomial functions. This is videos numbers 1 to 10 to review on, and as in previous reviews, treat it as a quiz, and you can mark each question, give yourself a score, and when total up each page. When you're finished, total up all the pages, and the mark is 55. Here we go. Treat it as a quiz. State the degree of 3x to the fourth plus x cubed minus 5x squared minus 1. Degree is the highest exponent of any term, and the degree is 4. 4 is the highest exponent. Give yourself a mark. Which one is cubic? Cubic has degree 3, so that's the highest. Here is a 2, quadratic. Here is a 3, so it's cubic, so B is the answer, unless there's more. Right here, the highest power is 4, so that's a quartic. This is a 5, a quintic. And again, notice they're in descending order, the highest to the lowest. Give yourself a mark if you have B. Which one below is quartic with a cubic coefficient of 4? Quartic is degree 4. Degree 4, so that's degree 3. Nope. That's degree 5. Nope. That's degree 4. And says has a cubic coefficient of negative 4. Cubic is degree 3. The cubic term is negative 4x cubed, so the answer is C. And notice this one's a quartic, but the cubic term is not there. The x cubed is missing, so you can't use, even though there's a quartic, you can't use D. Give yourself a mark if you have C. Write the polynomial p of x, which is quintics, leading coefficient of 3, quartic coefficient of 7, quadratic coefficient of 9, and a constant term of 4. So we have p of x is the polynomial. The leading coefficient is 3, and it's quintic, so that's degree 5. And a quartic term of 7, so quartic is x to the 4 with a coefficient of 7. And it has a quadratic term. Notice it was 5 for cubic, but there's no cubic here. So I got a 0x cubed. And a quadratic coefficient of 9. Quadratic is an x squared with a coefficient of 9. And it says no linear. Linear is no linears. Linear is degree 1. And the constant term is on the end is 4. So you have p of x equals 3 x to the 5 plus 7 x to the 4 plus 9 x squared plus 4. If you have that, give yourself a mark. Number 5, let's graph each of these. And we have y equals x times x plus 2, x minus 1. So the x-intercepts are 0, negative 2, and 1. So there's the 0. And negative 2 is right here, x-intercept. X-intercept of 1. What you do, you let each of these equal 0 and solve them, or you just get the opposite of what you see. And notice they're linear, so they all go through. And because this is a plus right here, this is going to go upward. So it goes up from here. And because they're all linears with degree 1s, see degree 1, they'll go through. So here it goes through, it bends, goes back up through that intercept, goes up, turns, and comes down and goes on through. So if you have the graph like that, and again, if you have the x-intercepts, you get a mark. If you have all linears going through, you get a mark. And if you start here and come down from here, you get a mark. 3 marks in total. B, y is the negative of x plus 4, x plus 1, x minus 2, x minus 3. And the intercepts are minus 4, negative 1, 2, and 3 opposites, because you let it equal to 0. Negative 4, negative 1, 2, 3. So negative 4 is right there. Negative 1 is right there as intercepts, x-intercepts. 2 is right here. And 3 is right here. And because it's negative, it's not starting. If it's the furthest x-intercept on the right is here, notice all these are degree 1s. So you have lines going through the point, and it starts, instead of up here, which is positive like this one, going up, it will start down here. It will go down like this, so therefore you reverse it. It goes back up through, bends, it comes down, and it goes. Now, if you want, you can find a y-intercept, and if you want to find a y-intercept, you let x equal 0. So if you want to let x equal 0 in each bracket, x equals 0, and better do it right, make x equals 0, negative 4, 1, negative 2, 3, negative, and that's a negative times a negative, a negative is a negative. 6 times 4 is 24. So I go way, way, way down here, so just pretend. So it's going way, way down, coming up through here, goes up, goes on through the point, goes up, bends, and comes down. So if you say that intercept down there is the negative 24, then you know you're in the right flow. It comes on down and goes through here, and you know, let's say you had a positive y-intercept, then you know you started in the wrong way, or you made a mistake. And there's 3 marks. Plotting the x-intercepts is a mark. Having lines going through is a mark. And you're going down here is a mark. So 3 in total. 12 for that page. Hopefully everything's going well. Number 6. Don't forget, this is a quiz, so you can treat it as pausing the video and working each one out before I do. Do one page at a time. Which graph represents each equation? It's the best fit graph. So we have the equation y is negative of x minus 3 squared. So the x-intercept has to be a negative 3. So a negative 3 has to be this one, or that's a positive 3, so that won't do. That's a positive, when I say positive 3 now, that's a negative because it's on this side. That's a positive, that's a positive, and that's a positive. So it has to be this one, and it's going down. So one that fits this equation is number 4. And this is, and notice that the square means it's bouncing off. It's tangent. And the cube is a sideways S. Because it's positive, it's at plus 4. So this could be the plus 4. This could be the plus 4. This could be the plus 4. But because it's plus, it has to be one of these 3. This is the quadratic like this one, so number 2 doesn't fit B. And so it has to be, that could be the 4, and it's positive, so number 1 fits this. So for each one of these, give yourself a mark, 1 for each one. Notice this is the sideways S at this positive x-intercept, and this is the negative. So if I had a negative on this right here, it would have been this one. Number 7, graph. Well, we're going to graph this one. Let's look at the x-intercept. The x-intercept is negative 1 right here. And let's look at the y-intercept. The y-intercept is when you let x equals 0. So when x is 0, y is negative 1. X is 0, y is negative 1. There's the y-intercept. And it's, notice a cubic. A cubic is a sideways S, and you're going down. So you're going down from this x-intercept, and you go down, and you come out through here. So it's like this, going down from here. It's a sideways S, so you go in sideways, and you go, yeah. There it is. Very similar to this one right here, or this one here. So it's like this one, only it's shifted 1 unit to the left. And you get a mark for the x-intercept, you get a mark for the y-intercept, you get a mark for going down, and you get a mark for the sideways s. 4 marks altogether. Number 8, graph this equation. Again, let's look at the x-intercepts, -2 and 3. So we plot the -2, and we plot the x-intercept of 3, and the y-intercept. We get the y-intercept when we let x equals 0. Okay, take your time. -2, -3, -4. That's a -27, and that's a positive. 4 7 are 28. 108, positive 108, and it's now the name. Let's see what the name is before we draw the graph. We have power of 3 here and a power of 2 here. So it's a degree of 2 plus 3. So the degree is 5. So it's a quintic. 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 Now let's draw it. So at 3, at 3 you got a cube, so it's a sideways s. At 2 you got a square, so it's bouncing off its tangent. It's a parabola, and it's going down. So it's coming down from here, and the intercept, even though I got it way high, let's just pretend we're going up through here. So we go down, we're coming down, and we go in through here with a sideways s. So there it is, there's a sideways s. And it's going way, way up till we hit the y-intercept. Pretend we went up to 108, and we go up, 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 and then we come down. When we come down, we're coming down through here, and at -2, it bounces off because it's square, and it goes back up again. So, if you have the x-intercepts, you get a mark. If you have the y-intercept 108, you get a mark. If you have the quintic name, you get a mark. And if you have it going down, you get a mark. And if you have it a sideways s, you have a mark. And if you have a parabola here bouncing off, you get a mark. 6 marks together total for that question. 12 for the page. Let's continue. Number 9, we have a graph, which is true. And x is going to infinity, y is going to infinity. No, as x is going to infinity, y is going to negative infinity. So it can't be this one. As x is going to infinity, y is going to negative infinity. That's true. Now, we have to look at the other side. X is going to negative infinity, y is going to positive infinity. Nope. So right here, x is going to positive infinity, y is going to negative. X is going to negative infinity, y is going to negative. So which one is it? It's x is going to positive infinity, y is going, nope. So it must be D. So D is the correct answer. Let's check. X is going to positive infinity, y is going to negative infinity. As x goes to the right, y is going down. And as x is going to negative infinity, going to the left, y is going to negative, going down. So D is the correct one. Give yourself a mark. Number 10, state the multiplicities of each x-intercept. At a -2, -2 is right here. That's a sideways s, so the multiplicity is 3, because the degree would have been 3 on the binomial. And at 1, it's bouncing off. It's a 2. It's a parabola. It's tangent. And at x-intercept of 3, which is right here, it's lines going on through, so it's a linear, so it's degree 1. Give yourself 1 mark each, 3 marks. B, we have an equation, and the x-intercepts are 0 right here, -6 right here, and 1 right here. And at 0, we have a square, so the multiplicity is 2. It's a parabola. And at -6, the degree of that bracket is 3, so it's a multiplicity of 3. That's a sideways s. And the degree of this bracket is 1, so it's 1. So we'll mark each for those. And number 11, state each. So let's look at the graph. And we want to fill in this from this graph. As x goes to positive infinity, y is going to up. So that's positive infinity. This one, as x is going to negative infinity, which is this way, y is going up. So it's a positive infinity. The degree of this the graph, what's the degree of the equation? So right here is a 2, right here is a 1, right here is a 1 because that's a linear, and a quadratic parabola. So the degree is 4. So that's a quartic. And the value of a on this side, if it goes up, a is greater than 0. If this was going down on the furthest x-intercept on the right, it would be negative. And the same thing for b. Just give yourself 1, 2, 3, 4 marks if you have these correct. 4 in total. And in this graph, as x goes to positive infinity, y is going to negative infinity. Y is going down. As x is going to negative infinity this way, y is going down. Okay, and the degree, well, that's a sideways s, so that's a 3, and that's a linear, that's a 1. That's a linear, so that's a 1, and that's a linear, so the degree is 1. So that's 6 altogether for the degree. And because furthest x-intercept on the right is right here, and it's going down from here, so a, the value of a in the equation would be less than 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4 marks in total. 15 for that page. Let's continue. Odd degree polynomial graph. And we have a is greater than 0. So we have an odd degree polynomial. And a is greater than 0. Well, right here, a is less than 0 because it's going down. Right here, a is greater than 0 because it's going up. Right here, a is less than 0 because it's going down. And right here, a is greater than 0 because it's going up from the furthest x-intercept on the right. And it's an odd. Odd means the degree is 1, 3, 5, etc. So that's a 2 because it's a parabola. That's a 2, that's a parabola. So that's even. And this one is 3. That's a linear 1. That's a linear 1. That's a 5. So that's odds. So the answer to this one is D. Give yourself a mark if you got D. Number 13, an even degree polynomial. And the graph is a is less than 0. This is a greater than 0 because it's going up on the right. This is a less than 0 because you're going down on the right. This is a greater than 0 because you're going up on the right. I always look at the x-intercept that's on the far right. And this is going down, so a is less than 0. So it's not these two, it's one of these two. And it's an even degree. So that's a linear 1. That's a linear 1. That's a linear 1. That's degree 3. So that's odd. So the even must be right here. So again, D is the answer to this question. So right here, that's a parabola, so that's a 2. And that's a 2 because they're bouncing off parabolas, so that's a 4. So even. Give yourself a mark. Find the equation in factored form. So the factored form is y equals a, and the x-intercept here is 2, negative 2, so that's an x plus 2. The x-intercept here is negative 1, so it's an x plus 1. The x-intercept in here is 1, so it's an x minus 1. And right here, it's a parabola bouncing off, so that's a power of 2. And right here, it's going on through, so it's a linear, so that's degree 1. And right here, it's going on through as a linear, so that's degree 1 there and degree 1 there. We don't really show it. It's understood. And we need to get a now. So we have this point right here. That's when x is 0, y is negative 2. So we put negative 2 in for y and a 0 in for x. negative 2. So we have to do PEMDAS. We have to work out the inside of the brackets first. Done. Then we have to do our powers next. So negative 1 squared is 1. So negative 2, we simplify. 1 times 2 times 1 times 1 is 2a. Divide by 2. So a is equal to negative 1. So we put a is negative 1. So y equals negative 1 understood. X plus 2. X plus 1. X minus 1 squared. And there's 5 marks. So how I distribute the marks, if you have the x, picked up the x-intercepts right here, and you sub it into the equation. So there's 2 marks if you wrote these down, and there's a mark if you have the square there, and there's a mark if you have the negative 1, and there's 2 marks for this equation. So 5 marks altogether. So if you have this equation, you got 5 marks. 7 total for the page. And 2 more questions that will end off this video. It says change to general form. So the general form is y equals ax to the n plus b x to the n minus 1 plus c x to the n minus 2 keeps going down. So in other words, we have to simplify this expression, and we have a square here. So if we square a binomial, so x squared, we multiply these two and get a negative 3 and double it, negative 6x, and we squared a negative 3 to get a 9. Now if you want to do FOIL on that and expand it out as x minus 3 times x minus 3 and then multiply to get this, go ahead. Now we take the binomial times the trinomial, so we take x and multiply by these 3. So we get x cubed minus x squared plus 9x. So x times x squared, x cubed, x times negative 6x, negative 6x squared, x times 9, 9x. Now we take 1 and multiply by these 3. So we get an x squared minus 6x plus 9. We have that done. Now we look in descending order. We take the x cubed first. Then we take the x squared. Negative 6 and 1 is negative 5. And they're done. And we get 9x and negative 6x is 3x. They're done. And the only one left is the constant term, which is 9. And so if you have this done, you get 3 marks. And if you square this correctly, you get a mark there. And if you multiply this out correctly and got first here, you get 2 marks. So 1 for this and 2 for this, 3 altogether. And the last question that sums up this unit, or these videos in this unit, didn't sum up the unit, just this is part of the unit. So there will be another review after I get more videos done. So let's see what we have here. We're going in, we want this to go in general form, but to get the general form, I have to get the factored form first and then work it all out like this. So here we go, a bracket. That's a minus 3, so that's a plus 3. This is a plus 2, so it's a minus 2. That's a plus 4, so it's x minus 4. And at negative 3 is going on through, so it's a power of 1. Oh, I forgot the 0. Look at the 0 right there. So I got 4 x-intercepts. So I got to put x in right here. I forgot to put x. That's a 0 there. So what happens with 0? There's an x minus 0. And an x minus 0 is the same as x. So now we have all those done. And we have a linear, a linear, a linear, and a linear. So all these got powers of 1, even the x. So now we got to get the a. So we take the point. This is x and this is y. So we put 6 in for y and we put 1 in for x. and there's no powers, so we simplify the inside the bracket first by PEMDAS. So that's a 4, that's a -1, that's a -3. And then we multiply, and we get, we're looking for the A, and we put 1 in, okay, and we multiply that. There's somewhere here, that's an x minus 3, 0, 2, 4. Okay. So A, that's 12A. That's a 6, sorry. Divide by 12. So A becomes a half. Okay. Yep. So we get Y equals 1/2. That's an X. Notice this one has a fraction. We didn't have a fraction before. It was possible to have fractions, but I didn't have a fraction in my review. So we have to multiply all this out. So here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take these two and do the FOIL. So it's easy. X squared. Outside, -4x. Inside, -2x is -6x. -2 times -4 is a +8. I'm going to multiply these two. That gives me a half x, and a half times 3 is a 3/2x. And we take our time. Made this one a little bit harder because of the half. Before we didn't have it. Now I'm going to multiply these two. I multiply the binomial times the trinomial, and I'll get a half times x squared is a half x cubed. Half times -6, half x times -6 is -3x squared. Half times 8 is a +4x. And 2/3 x times x squared is a positive, 3/2x times x squared is 3/2x. That's an x squared there. So that's a 4. Now to say that, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Square times the square is x to the 4th, x cubed, x squared. I didn't notice. Wasn't careful. X times x is square, and x times 3 is an x. And now 2/3 times that is 3/2x cubed, and that's 2 into 6 goes -3, -9x squared. And 3/2 times 8 is 2, and 8 goes 4 is 12x. And now we have to add this up as a half x to the 4th, and we have x cubed. So, and we have 3/2, so that's a -3, add on 3/2, that's a -6/2, add on 3/2, so that's a -3/2. And we have the squares here. We got -5x squared plus 12x. So you can see when you have the fraction here instead of an integer, when you have a number here called 2 or -1 or 3 or -3 like that, the multiplication becomes easier. But when you have a fraction here, then the multiplication just is a little bit more dicey. So just be careful. Anyway, if you have this equation right here, you give it with the x-intercepts in that, you give yourself a mark. If you worked out the value of a, you give yourself a mark. If you multiply these two correctly, you give yourself a mark. You multiply these two correctly here, you give yourself a mark. If you finalize this to here, you give yourself 2 more marks, 6 altogether. So 9 for that page. So I had a half coming out of here. So it would have been better if I had a 2 or a -1. But the half just means be careful on your multiplication. So total of all your pages. And this review is out of 55. So divide 55 into this, whatever your total on this is, if you did your total. Divide it and change it to a decimal, convert it to a decimal, and then move your decimal 2 places right to get your percent. And hope that you know what this unit is about so far, because you need to know what these videos are, what's going on in these videos, in order to continue in the unit to do better. And again, if you like my video, click on the like button, subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.